Do you believe in ghosts? Do you think your house may be haunted by ghosts? Do you plan on becoming a ghost one day? Or are you concerned that you may already be a ghost and can only be seen by one lovable but very creepy boy?
I see dead people.
Well, who better to answer these questions than a real ghost hunter whose basement looks like this?
Anyone can have a haunted museum, even a skeptic.
Yes, if anyone can answer these questions, he's the guy. So I have here with me Kenny Biddle, the chief investigator for the Center for Skeptical Inquiry, and a guy with a basement full of haunted knickknacks. How you doing, Kenny?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing good. Actually, my basement, the basement full of knickknacks is no longer in existence because we're moving. I originally lived in Philadelphia, and since taking this job, I moved up to Buffalo, that's where I am now, Buffalo, New York. So I still have all the knickknacks. They're just in boxes right now.
They couldn't move themselves? Like there wasn't it?
I asked, I said, this is your chance, people, like, or spirits, depending on your belief, like, this is it, like, get up and move yourself. This is the chance to prove to a skeptic that you're real.
Like you couldn't just like charge them with some quartz crystals or something? That didn't work?
You know what? I tried. I have those. I have those in my office here. But I don't know if I had the batteries wrong, connected wrong or something. I don't know. It is what it is.
Batteries not included when you get a house full of ghosts.
That was a good movie. I like that.
Right. Well, I did my research for this interview. I watched Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
Okay.
I watched A Christmas Carol. Spectre didn't have ghosts in it. I don't know why, but I feel like an expert now, so I'm just going to act like I am an expert. And I sent you some questions in advance. I want to throw you a curveball, though, because I'm really curious. What can I do to become a ghost when I die? Because I've always heard that a ghost is someone who dies with unfinished business, and I will never finish my to-do list. So is that all I need, or is there other extenuating circumstances to file an application for ghosthood?
So what you need to do is tell everyone all the unfinished business you have, or just if you want to keep it basic, tell them that you have unfinished business, that you have so much to do, you don't know if you're able to get it done. You complain about it every single time you see people, so that when you do die, everyone will have that memory of you, like, oh, he had so much to do. He was so busy. He never got it done. And that's what keeps your ghost alive.
Okay. All right. So it's basically just if you complain about it during real life, then you get to wail and moan about it in the afterlife.
There you go. Yeah.
but still not get it done. Like the
Right.
ghosts. Yeah. I mean, I haven't heard of ghosts actually ticking anything off of their list.
No. Usually they I mean, you see it sometimes in movies because you want that happy ending, but most of the time, no. In real life, and I have to use the air quotes because we're on the edge here of fringe. But in real life, yeah, the ghost never gets it done, and the people that think they're communicating with the ghost never get the full idea of what needs to be done. So you're forever in limbo,
Right.
just for eternity.
I guess if you had a seance, you could start to figure it out, communicate something with the spirits. Okay.
Depending on the psychic. Yeah. What they want.
Yeah.
They got to keep it. See, that's a good point, though, because the psychics that are doing, or the mediums that are running the seances, they have to keep it going because they got to keep getting money from you. So you're never going to get all the information at once.
So their list is never done either. I'm sensing a pattern here.
Most of the spirits should be mediums.
Or procrastinators.
Yes.
I think I would make a good medium and ghost.
You're on the right track.
Okay. All right. I have another ghost trivia question for you because this one has been really haunting me. So ghosts can walk through walls, right? Or float through walls, or dissolve through walls.
Allegedly. Yes.
Wherever they want. So why do they just stay at haunting one place? If they can go anywhere, like why not go on a big ghost tour of, the whole world? Why do they haunt one particular place?
That's a good question. And I think the answer might be because that's what the location wants it to be. You know, there's big bank in haunted houses now, haunted inns, bed and breakfasts, museums, all that kind of stuff. But if your ghost goes on walkabout, you got nothing to show, you got nothing to promote. So I would think, and I mean, it's probably not fair because we're talking decades or maybe a century ago where people complained that they had a ghost and it just didn't go anywhere. So maybe it was just that the experiences people had, they just attribute it to their resident ghost. That's why it never left. It was never the idea that they couldn't leave. It's just that this was home and they're going to stay here because this is what they're familiar with. And this is what I'm told. This is what
and the homeowner found a way to monetize it. And so
yes,
that's really the key.
In recent years, recent decades, yeah, they found a way to, hey, I can make some money off of this. So if my ghost stays here, if my ghost stays here, I can make some money because any noises that happen that I can't figure out where it came from, it's the ghost. Any shadows, it's the ghost. Anything that falls off the shelf because I didn't put it back right, it's a ghost. So therefore you charge $100 or $200 a night for people to stay over.
Makes sense. And, you know, sort of related to that question, we all know about holiday ghosts, like the ghost of Christmas past, or, you know, ghosts that haunt just on the anniversary of their death or some tragic incident. Or, of course, Halloween is a favorite time for ghosts to come out. What do they do for the rest of the year? This is just what I'm curious. When ghosts just come out on special occasions, where are they the rest of the time?
You know, I've asked that question so many times, and I never get a straight answer. Sometimes it's, I'm told that they're just lounging about. They're just watching us, which is kind of freaky.
Right.
Or it could be exciting depending on your, you know, fetish. But yeah, I know. But sometimes it's like they go to some ethereal realm and they hang out and there is no time. And you know, I guess one of the most involved ideas that I was, or beliefs that I was presented was that ghosts don't experience time like we do. Everything happens at the same time. Therefore, if we experience a ghostly phenomenon once a week, to the alleged ghost, it's just continuously happening. And that's one of the ideas that was presented to me.
Did that theory come from one of those states where weed is legal? I feel like the more weed you smoke, the more sense that will make.
It could be. I mean, whether it was legal or not at the time, I mean, who's to say?
Right. Okay. All right. Fair enough. And, you know, also, whenever I see ghosts depicted, I always see them wear clothes. Wearing something. But wouldn't being a ghost be clothing optional? I mean, you don't actually die with your clothes, do you? I mean, if your body is incorporated into this sort of ethereal, has anybody ever reported a naked ghost?
I have not heard of one, not that I can recall. But I would think, yeah, like if you were going to come back, you know what? I think it's just the imagination coming out. You know, like, because you had people like we're talking like century or two ago where ghosts were reported in robes and chains, you know, and that was part of the time. It's the fashion of the time. You see a ghost as what you expect it to be. So now you got into more modern times and people see alleged spirits in jeans and t-shirts or a suit. Most of the time when I hear a ghost story, it's a lady in Victorian dress. That's the common description. Even though you ask, like, what's that mean? Like, there's a lot we can unpack from Victorian dress. What the hell does that mean? Or you have a gentleman in like a dark suit kind of thing, like an old school dark suit. And that's all they're wearing. I don't know where the clothes come from. I don't know. I mean, if I was dead, honestly, I'd be streaking everywhere. Having fun with it, you know? Like,
sounds like the clothes come from, you know, whatever TV shows people are watching, Downton Abbey or, you know, something period. Okay.
Right.
All right.
I mean, to piggyback off of that, like we can go further. Like you have carriages, horse-drawn carriages that appear. You have phantom trains, boats, cars. Like These things are not alive, but people report them.
Huh.
Makes you
Ghost
think, huh?
train. Right. Because how else would ghosts get around without a train
I
or a
know.
carriage?
When they do want to go on that walkabout, they jump on the ghost train, hike across the country, boom, they're at another place. That's probably how Abraham Lincoln shows up at different places.
Right. Right. He's just like constantly on tour.
Yeah. Never stopping.
Perfect. Kenny, you know so much about ghosts. What got you into this world?
I was always interested in weird stuff. Growing up, I grew up Catholic. I was raised Catholic. So that got me this sense that there were otherworldly things out there. There was a heaven, there was a hell. And to me and my childlike thinking, all this stuff really existed. Angels existed, demons existed, although I wasn't allowed to ask about them. I was just told, yeah, they're real. So that really sparked the interest in me. And when TV shows like In Search Of came about, I mean, that was a big influence on my life. I grew up watching that. That was one of the TV shows that I made sure I was there, because back in the ancient times, for you kids that are watching, we used to have to watch TV when at a certain day and time. We didn't have this luxury of just, on demand. You had to actually sit in front of the TV at a certain time to watch that program, or you were screwed. You never got to see it again.
Yeah.
So growing up with that, really into it, loved it. When I would go to the local library, I would take out all the books about ghosts and monsters, Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, all the hauntings like the Brown Lady of Raymond Hall, stuff like that. I would read it constantly over and over again. And eventually I grew up, I got married, I purchased a computer that got onto this thing called the World Wide Web. And I was able to find several groups in my area that looked for ghosts. They were ghost hunting groups. So I was like, all right, I emailed one, asked to join. They said, yeah, come on over. And I was like, great. So I joined like 4 or 5 other people, and we would go to cemeteries, and we would go to alleged haunted historic places like the Betsy Ross house. We went to Fort Mifflin, which is in Philadelphia. We went there looking for ghosts, and we would take pictures. We would have little gadgets, commonly the EMF meter, which was, I'm still trying to figure out who came up with the idea that was a good gadget to use. And we can get into that later if you want. But using all this stuff to detect, and again, I'm using a lot of air quotes, and I'm glad this is all video so you can see it. But we were detecting and capturing ghosts. At least I thought we were.
Like capturing them, like in Ghostbusters, like with the thing that
No, no. Although I do have a trap.
You have a ghost trap? No way.
Right there. Wait. Where? There it is. Right
How
up
does
there.
it work? Does it have any ghosts in it? What do you do with them when you trap them?
It might.
Is it catch and release, like a more humane trap, not a live trap because they're ghosts, but I don't know what you would call it, afterlife trap?
Yeah, we catch them in the trap. We poke it a little bit, get them pissed off, and see what happens. Then we leave it at our crazy neighbor's house. We go over and open the trap, let them out. No, but capture. When I mean capture, what I mean by capture is on photographs. So we would use old school 35 millimeter cameras and take pictures. And once in a while, we'd get these balls of light that would show up on the film, which were not balls of light. They were actually reflections off of dust particles and insects. But at the time, I had no knowledge of photography. So weird balls of light showing up in your pictures, they were ghosts. So that,
what else could it be?
well, I know. What else could it be? I don't know. I didn't know at the time. I really didn't know at the time. So from there, I went to, I spent a couple of years doing that. And I eventually had my own ghost hunting team because I felt important. I felt like I knew everything there was to know, and I was going to do it myself. And I did that for another couple of years until I had a specific experience that really changed my way of thinking.
Okay.
And,
all right.
Okay.
You got it. It sounds like there's a story behind that.
There is. There is.
I want to hear the story.
I'll make it as short as possible because it does get kind of long, but I'll make it short. Basically, I was at my first ghost hunting conference, and it was in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. So that means a few hundred ghost hunters were coming together, and we were going to listen to speakers. We were going to listen to like kind of celebrity ghost hunters, people that were in the media, authors of different books. They were going to come together, tell us the stories, and tell us how they investigate and show us evidence, which I was really psyched about. To be honest, I didn't learn shit at the conference. Not a damn thing. It was a waste of time. It was mostly people just promoting themselves and saying, buy my book. I'm going to be on TV soon. Watch my pilot, that kind of thing. So it wasn't until the one night after the conference, I think it was a Friday night, we went out to the battlefields, and we had been told of this little secret spot by the wheat field. And it was a park ranger that told us about this. And he told us that nobody goes there. The park rangers avoid it because there's so much activity that we're afraid to go there. So for my little group, that was a golden ticket. That was like, oh, nobody knows about this. This is great.
It's like the secret fishing hole or something.
It is. Yes, exactly. And I mean, ghost hunters, especially back that time, and this is like, I think 1999, early 2000s, ghost hunters were territorial. I mean, we didn't share anything. It's like you got your spot and that's it. You guarded it. Anyone tried to go into your spot, you fought them. You picked up broken bats and sticks and chains, and you were ready to fight. Like West Side Story.
Oh my God,
it was pretty bad. So we get there. We're in this little patch of woods, and there's a small clearing inside of it, and it used to be a field hospital. During the Battle of Gettysburg. So July 2nd saw a lot of fighting on the wheat field, excuse me, and this little patch of woods was used as a field hospital. So naturally to us, that meant a lot of people died, a lot of soldiers died, a lot of grief, a lot of misery, pain, all this.
Sounds great.
Yes, that's a boiling pot of activity to us. So we're in there, we're waiting, it's dark. We're chilling, waiting for something to happen. Then I see a couple cars come down the road, and I can see them across the wheat field. The wheat field is open. There's no wheat in the wheat field right at this time. So I can see across the field, and I see on the road, there's three cars coming down. They park about halfway down the wheat field, which from us was about like 300 yards. And I see the people get out of the cars. I see a bunch of flashlights. I see laser pointers. They're goofing off. They're having fun. They're laughing. They're talking loud. They're joking with each other. And we're just watching them. I'm like, all right, hopefully they'll leave soon. They'll get out of here and we can go back to what we're doing, which honestly was nothing.
But they're scaring the fish.
Yeah. Yes. They're scaring the ghosts away. So they go into the wheat field. No big deal. And then I noticed that they turn and start coming towards us. And that's when I started getting angry and anxious because I'm like, no, if they come over here, they're going to discover us. They're going to ask questions like, oh, what are you guys doing here? Is this an active spot? A lot of activity. And we'd have to either bullshit them or tell them the truth. And I didn't want to do either. I just wanted them gone because I didn't want people to know we were there. So they get closer and closer, and I lose my temper, and I walk out of the woods. So remember, it's dark in the fields. I walk out of the woods and start screaming at them. Shut up, go away, get out of here. Just really loud. They stop dead. It seemed like 10 seconds, but probably shorter than that. Turn around, they run back to their cars, get in, drive away. And I'm thinking, awesome, mission accomplished.
Right.
Going to go back to my fishing hole, and I'm going to wait out the night. Fast forward the next morning, we get up. Nothing happened that night, so no activity, no ghosts came out to us. So we get up in the morning, we go down to the lobby, we start meeting all the other ghost hunters, and we start mingling and talking, and we hear that there was an apparition sighting the night before. Like a group of people saw an apparition, like a full body apparition, which is the holy grail of what we do.
Right.
Like, awesome, cool. So I start asking questions. I go around, I find the group that is talking about this, that witnessed this. We start asking questions, and they're like, yeah, we saw this apparition. It was a soldier. It came out of the woods. It was right at the wheat field. And I was like, we were there. We were there. What time was this? And they're like, oh, it's about 7:30 at night. And I was like, that's when we were there. Holy crap. When, like, what did it look like? And they're like, oh, it was big, came out of the woods. It just appeared, started yelling at us. And that's when the light bulb started going on. And I was like, son of a bitch, that's me. That was me. And
Right.
I tell them this. I said, I think you saw me. No, absolutely not. We saw a ghost. It was a soldier. I start giving them details. Like, you were looking at this. You came out of 3 cars, right? You had 3 cars. Yes. I'm like, all right, you came out. You had laser pointers. You had flashlights, right? Yes. You came into the center of the field, and then you turned and went to the woods. Yes. And then the guy came out and yelled at you, and you ran away. Yes. That was me. No, flat out no, would absolutely refuse to believe that it was me. And they started saying things like, we know what we're doing. We know what we saw, and it wasn't you.
Yeah, because they're such amazing ghost hunters that as soon as they see a ghost, they run away.
Right. Yes. They ran away, and no matter how many details or what I described, absolutely refused. And then the final straw was when one of them said, you're just trying to steal our spotlight. And I was like, oh, is that what I'm doing? Your spotlight. And that made me think, yeah, like, is that, you're just looking for the attention? Is that what it is? Because all these people are around you and you're mad because I offered an explanation. But that really hit me. Like, I walked away from them thinking, like, we're the same people. You're ghost hunters. I'm a ghost hunter. We go out, we do basically the same thing with our flashlights and cameras and laser pointers and temperature guns and stuff. All this stuff we do together. Why aren't you accepting solid, good information from the actual source that was there? And then I start thinking, like, how many times have I done this? How many times have I looked at something and believed, saw it through those filters because I already believed. And I think that's what they were doing. They already believed. Everything comes through these filters, these biases, and they refused to accept that they were wrong. How many times did I do that? And when I really sat down and stopped, bullshitting myself, I realized, like, I did this a lot. I ignored information because it conflicted with my beliefs. I ignored it because I thought I had a great experience and I didn't want to ruin it. And that really had a big impact on me. It made me stop everything. It made me rethink. I looked for more information out there. How am I doing this wrong? What can I do to improve myself? That led me to know photography or get into photography. I actually worked as a photographer for a while, family portraits, product photography. I found Skeptical Inquirer magazine, which I now write for, and all the literature from there, like the work of Joe Nickel and Ben Radford and all the others that dealt with the same kind of topics that I did, but from a skeptical and more scientific point of view. I learned better methodology. I learned so much better methods to look at this stuff and just realized, like, shit, I was doing so much wrong.
Did you feel any hesitation about losing that community? Like, did you feel like, if I go down this path, I'm going to lose something that's part of my identity?
I thought that way. Like, wow, this is a community I've been with for a couple of years now. And if I switch they're all going to hate me, because that was the idea. Like, skeptics were the enemy. They were the enemy to us because they didn't know what they just wanted to debunk everything. They didn't want to look at what we had. They didn't want to listen to us. They just wanted to debunk it, and they would explain it any way they could, as long as it wasn't a ghost.
So now you're one of the enemy.
Yes.
How does that feel when you see those folks again?
I had a transition. So when I first started leaning more towards the skeptical side and learning more, the more I learned, the more I realized how wrong I was, and I took it out on the people I used to hang out with. So when I see them post pictures or video claiming they had a ghost, I just attacked and ripped it apart. And I was unrelenting. I was not nice about it. I was I don't know how far you can go with your language, but I was a dick.
Sounds like they didn't break up with you. You broke up with them.
Yes, I did. And I realized that I was spending a lot of time fighting, and this was getting nowhere. I was fighting with people. They hated me, and I wasn't changing minds. They were just going away, still believing what they wanted to believe, but with the added bonus of saying, well, Kenny's a dick. You know, don't talk to him. Don't associate with him. He hates everyone. And I think lucky for me, I realized that early on, and I stopped that kind of approach and realized, like, I need to find some different way to do this. I need to be nice. I need to talk rather than fight. I need to have a conversation rather than a confrontation. And that helped a lot. And now, where I am now, I am not at odds with the majority of the paranormal community. I mean, there's still a few people that absolutely will not deal with me or talk to me. But for the most part, I'm accepted because I'm not looking for a fight. I'm looking to help. I'm looking to expand their education or knowledge base and improve the quality of their work. So when I offer information, I do so in a conversational way, and we work together rather than against each other. So it works out much better. And now I get invited to conferences. I get invited to paranormal conferences to speak and set up a booth, because paranormal conferences are not like science conferences. You go to science conferences, it's mostly lectures.
Right.
Paranormal conferences, it's mostly vendors, vendors set up. Yes, with their ghost hunting gadgets or whatever they're doing, if they're UFOs or cryptids, or any other genre like that. And then you have a lot of like metaphysical jewelry and crystals and healing crap that goes on.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there's a lot of overlap between those communities. The people who believe in ghosts and UFOs and Bigfoot and crystals and all of that.
Yeah, you'll find that a lot of them, they do overlap. They have their own conferences for the most part.
Okay.
Where the focus, like if you go to a paranormal or ghost hunting conference, most of the people you'll find are either ghost hunters and or psychics / mediums. That's that genre. And then you'll have like a cryptid or UFO guy in there somewhere.
Right.
Same with UFO conferences. I've been to UFO conferences put on by MUFON. And among all the alleged abductees and UFO groups, there is a ghost hunting group there. And the same with Bigfoot. I've been to Bigfoot conferences a couple times, and there's usually one UFO guy there. There's usually a ghost hunting group. So there is a lot of overlap. When you start talking to them and asking them, like, oh, did you see this show? Do you believe in this? And yeah, most of them believe in the big three: cryptids, UFOs, and ghosts.
I realized that I'm nodding along, but I just backtracked and I was like, there's a Bigfoot conference?
Yeah,
really?
There's a few. There's quite a few.
Multiple Bigfoot conferences.
Yes. There's one that's been in Pennsylvania for a couple of years. There's actually two, I think, in Pennsylvania. I've been to one particular one several times.
What do the speakers get up and say other than, we still haven't found him yet? That doesn't take very long to say.
They talk about what's come before them, stuff that they find. There's a lot of people that go out into the woods, and that's what they do every weekend. They go out looking, and you hear a lot of, you see some footage, you see some pictures, you hear a lot. They play a lot of audio recordings of alleged Bigfoot calls or howls or something like that, which
just any sound that's weird
it's
qualifies.
It honestly, I mean, it's hard to say when you're there because Bigfoot people are mean. I'm scared of them. There are a lot of big people, and you just don't want to speak up all the time. But there's a lot of calls or animal noises that are played, and it's like, well, my first question is always, did you confirm what made that sound? And 9 times out of 10, I get, yeah, it was a Bigfoot.
Oh, confirmed.
Like, so you saw the Bigfoot. Well, no, but that's a Bigfoot call.
Oh.
How do you know it's a Bigfoot call? Because it's a Bigfoot. That's what they sound like. Oh, and we go around that circle. That
right.
Yeah, around and around.
It's somewhat circular reasoning. Yes.
A little bit.
Right. Okay. So at these ghost hunting conferences, you said there's lots of vendors selling their products, selling like ghost hunting kits, ghost meters.
Right.
Okay. And you were showing us some of that stuff. So did you buy anything? Do you have?
Oh, I have tons of stuff. Tons of stuff. Hold on. Tons of stuff. What do you need? I got EMF meters.
I need to find a ghost. That's
REM pods. I got Xbox Connect. I got this is let's see. This is an obelisk, which you might appreciate this because this is a ghost hunting tool. Let me get out of the glare there. There we go. So I don't have a battery in this, but this spits out random words, and it's supposed to be a communication device where you take it to a location, you turn it on, you hit the button, it turns on, you ask questions to the spirits, and this thing says words. You have to plug a speaker in, but it'll say words, random words.
It's a battery powered magic 8-ball.
Yes. And I want to, if this there,
yes.
I want you to notice, is there anything that stands out to you?
It's a paranormal device. Digital dowsing. Okay, so like a dowsing rod, but with batteries for entertainment purposes only. A little disclaimer there.
There you go. That's what I want to point out. For entertainment purposes only. It's printed on the frickin' device. That is for entertainment, not for research, not for investigation. For
people take it seriously.
People take it extremely seriously, and they truly believe that they're having conversations with ghosts through this football-shaped device.
It's basically like going into a room and using a magic 8-ball or throwing some dice and saying, well, the ghost influenced which way they landed.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna spit out a random word whether there's a ghost there or not.
It doesn't matter if you just leave it in a room. I've worked in my office, my home office, and just turned it on and had it sitting next to my desk, and it would just randomly spit out words. My place was not haunted. No ghosts whatsoever. Never had anything going on. So I can say that's pretty. I'm 99.9%. It was a safe zone, not haunted. Yet this thing continually spit out words. And here's the thing. So devices like this, and also when they play something like a broken radio, it's called a ghost box or a spirit box. And it is a modified radio that will scan the frequencies, but not mute between the frequencies. So you know when you hit the seek on your radio and it jumps to the next station that's available.
Static.
Yes, you're going to hear all the static. You hear as it goes through all the frequencies.
And also distorted music and distorted talking from the almost being tuned into the frequency.
Exactly. So the setup for using these devices is that people will ask questions and they wait until they hear something. So whether it's something that they pick out from all of those frequencies or this spits out a random word, they listen for it. And when they hear something that's recognizable to them, they go with it. Doesn't matter this is the important part. It doesn't matter if it actually answered the question, which really, it pisses me off when I hear this, because they can ask, what's your favorite color? And someone will, and this is an experience I went through. Someone hears chair. And they're like, oh, chair. Oh, were you sitting in a chair? Do you have a favorite chair? Was that your favorite chair over in the corner? And then they'll hear car. Oh, wait, was it the chair in the car? Was that what you're trying to tell me? So it's not a ghost that's communicating with them. They are creating a narrative via the random words that are coming out of a radio that's sweeping all of the available stations.
Gotcha. I feel like that random word generator ought to have a Twitter account.
You know, it would be interesting.
You could just tweet out everything that it says, and you know, people can interpret it.
That's exactly what's going on, and you'll never have people agreeing. You usually have one person that's the voice, like they're the one in charge. So when they hear something, they say it out loud, and everyone says, "Oh yeah, I heard that too." But if you separate them and play, and this is something that I've done at one of the conferences, I've separated people and played audio clips for them, the same audio clip, and we get various returns. We get various interpretations. Nobody hears the same thing. So that first person that chimes up and says, "Oh, I heard chair," they prime everyone else, and that's what they hear now. And that's a big problem. That's completely subjective way to do everything, and it's a non-scientific, shitty way to do it.
It's like that psychology experiment where they lined up a bunch of students, and the only person in the experiment was the last one, and they asked a question, and all of the plants, all the people that were in on it, gave the wrong answer. And after hearing like 5 different people answer it, and it was their turn, and they would know the right answer but say the wrong answer anyway because of the group mentality.
Right, the group thing going on. Like they were like, "Oh, well, everyone else heard that. Maybe I was wrong. I don't know." But yeah, a lot of these devices, I mean, we can go on and on and on for hours with these things.
Well, a lot of them have to do with radio and magnets and electromagnetism, right?
So yeah, you have your EMF meters that love electromagnetic fields.
So ghosts are magnetic. Have you ever seen a ghost stick to a refrigerator?
So, it will. That's a good one. It's more of the magnetic field that is created by current. So the idea is that somehow ghosts either manipulate EM fields or produce an EM field because of some kind of power, some kind of energy. And disclaimer on energy, the word energy is used as a filler for a lot of things. It's not used in the correct definition when you're in the paranormal community. It is used as a filler.
Just anything we don't understand.
Yeah.
Magic.
Yeah. It's the energy in the room, the energy of the ghost connected with your energy, and it created an energy that affected the ball that was on the floor that made it roll down the hill. I mean, it's a filler.
I feel like the logic here is that ghosts are some sort of invisible entity, and electricity is an invisible entity, so they must be the same thing, or they must have something to do with each other.
I think it's along that lines where, yeah, the things that power our devices, you can't see it. I mean, you can. I mean, there are experiments that'll show it to you, but for the most part, yeah, you don't see it. You don't see electricity. You don't going through the lines and powering the devices. You don't see the radio waves making it to your radios or your walkie-talkies. You don't see any of that. Magnetism that comes up, you don't actually see a visible force, but you can see magnets drawn to each other. So you know something's there. And I think it's that train of thought that leads people to believe that ghosts are invisible, yet can affect everything. They're invisible and intangible, yet they can affect physical objects.
Right.
So there's a problem. There has to be a mechanism there. but nobody knows what that mechanism is or can explain it.
And it only seems to work when you're not looking or not really paying attention or don't have a camera ready.
Right. When you leave the room, something like that, or you hear it outside, and it must be a ghost.
So this has been really a fun talk, and I just have one more question. Of all the strange things that you encountered when you were ghost hunting, and then you went and investigated them and tried to find rational answers to those paranormal, whatever questions, was anything left hanging? Is there any unexplained events that's been bugging you that you still can't explain, that you feel like might not have a rational explanation?
So I can't point to one specific. Okay. There's going to be a few, and there's always going to be a few. And this is a good question, and I often get asked this, like, is there anything that I'm not sure of that I might consider paranormal? I don't. Let me word this right so I don't screw it up. There have been experiences that I've had where I didn't have enough information in order to explain what's going on. I couldn't solve that mystery because either something happened, like a good example was when you're in an abandoned asylum, one of those where you can pay to stay overnight, and you're in a hallway, and 100 feet down is the end of the hallway, and you see a shadow go along the wall. By the time I get down there, I can't find out what caused it, usually, because I don't know if there was a car in the parking lot that might have just angled right as they turned and it just sent light through. I don't know. I can try, but if I don't get enough information, I can't solve that mystery. So it remains a mystery. And right. To make that, to go farther with that, and to I guess put a disclaimer in it, that does not mean it's paranormal. Too many people take that as, oh, well, then a ghost is possible. It is, honestly. I mean, to be fair, yeah, anything's pretty much possible, but it's not plausible, because I don't think ghosts exist, and there's other things that will cause a shadow on a wall, 100 feet from me. So I'm gonna put that into the unknown category right now, because I don't know what it is.
Right.
But I don't jump to paranormal. And I see that too many times in the community, where if one person in the group cannot explain it, it's labeled paranormal. It's labeled a ghost.
Right. If I don't know what it is, it must be a ghost.
Right.
As opposed to, I just don't know what it is.
Yeah. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know. Because if you don't know, you're being honest.
Wise words.
Thank you.
It's been great talking to you, Kenny. Thanks so much.
It's been so much fun. Thanks for having me on. Let's
do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care. Good luck with your move.
All right. Thanks.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe this video. It really helps. And while you're at it, subscribe to Kenny's channel. It's got great stuff on it. Until next time, stay sane.